SML podcast, Playing the Field with Field Journal 007. Kind of a lengthy show because we got a really good On the Horn segment, so we're going to cut to that. All right, for today's On the Horn segment, we've got the Ravens owner. What's going on today, bud?
Not too much. Excited to be on the podcast with you.
Absolutely. It's good to have you. Tell us a little bit about your SML experience so far.
My SML experience has been great. Made the playoffs my first season. Won one game, lost my second game. But I'm looking forward to growing with SML.
Sure. Rank the top 3 players in the SML right now.
Top 3 right now. Okay, so I'm going to have to go with Haas, Oshie, Seahawks, and probably the third would go to... Since he was just in the Super Bowl, I'm going to go with the Falcons.
Yeah. So the Bills got the monkey off his back after multiple seasons and multiple cycles with the league. What do you think was the biggest turnaround for the Bills? How do you think he finally got it done?
I wasn't really around for most of his or some of his struggles with the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly think Haas is his user with linebacker, the safety. It takes his skill level to the next level. So it really helps him out. Then his offense is really calculated. He doesn't make that many of big risks. It's really just pushing the ball down the field as easy as he can.
Okay. So a lot of times, or not a lot of times, lately in chat I've been seeing guys that talk about how they go through and watch guys' streams, that they're watching the tape and stuff like it's the real NFL. Is that something that you feel like that you do, or is that something that you do where you go back and watch streams before a game? Or there's a lot of homework to it for you?
So if it's my first time playing one of the better users, like with the Gov, the Jag, I did that the first time I played him. You pick up on little key things, like certain plays they like running.
Right.
Per se, like somebody likes running a certain halfback screen, and there's a motion built into that play. Once you see that motion, you want to look for that screen. Besides that, most of the users I don't really scout. I just like picking up on things by myself to see how well I can see.
What's your, as a user, what's your biggest strength and your biggest weakness, in your opinion, of yourself?
Currently in the SML, I can't really run with my biggest strength. My biggest strength is offensively running the ball. Passing the ball is not my favorite thing to do, but I'm being forced to because my running game's not that good, or the team O-line running back overall with this Ravens team isn't the best. I used to be pretty good with the middle linebacker. I think if I had a faster one, I'd be a lot better.
Right.
But yeah.
That's kind of interesting you brought that up because I just saw something about Madden 20 where they're talking about how they nerfed the user lurk except for whoever gets the superstar linebacker traits. Do you think that's going to change for a lot of players in Madden 20 where people are going to be safety, or what do you think that's going to do to the game in terms of a user standpoint?
Absolutely is going to change it. A lot of people like user in the linebacker, and certain aspects a little unrealistic. Like you get certain animations where the linebackers really, there's no way the linebacker would see the ball, but it's basically they're just catching it over their head without seeing it, like they got eyes in the back of their head. Right. Or they could cover from sideline to sideline within seconds, which is nuts. So I think them taking that down a bit and making you have to user a more agile, faster player would affect a lot of people. So it'd be easy to beat you over the top or so on and so forth. You don't be able to take over the middle of the field like most people do with the linebacker.
Okay. Do you think that Madden 20 is going to be a better game than what we have right now?
I'm always hoping it's going to be a better game, but it is EA, so I don't really know if that's going to be the case per se. I do wish they'd quit changing things up so much. But from what I've been reading, it does look like they're taking a step right into the right direction with CFM, and they're not focusing more so on Ultimate Team or the little what's the word I'm looking for? I'm just gonna say the dumb part of like long shot, doing that for whole cycles. Right.
What do you think is the biggest problem with Madden right now, outside of focusing on the wrong things, like a gameplay standpoint?
Biggest problem with Madden right now, the way people can change direction so easily. I do this a lot, not even realize, just because I adjusted the game and its strengths and weaknesses. Like you said before, the spin move is ridiculous. Like I can spin and keep. I don't even use the juke just because the juke will slow you down. But if you spin, you can still go.
You're still
right
going
spin into
full speed.
Yeah.
I did that last night. I had a run where should have been tackled. I made like 4 spins. Like one kept running another 15 yards, spun around another guy. I think I had a total of 3 spins on the touchdown run. It's absolutely ridiculous and unrealistic. I mean, that needs to be tuned down. The problem is they're going to tune it down, and then spin moves would be totally ineffective because that's what they do, you know. So I'm not sure. You wouldn't think it'd be that hard as long as they've been making these games now to find kind of that happy medium of when stuff works and when it doesn't. Even when you do spin, though, your guy's gonna slow down. You know, you pretty much have to stop to spin. You know, from your movement standpoint or your momentum. So that's kind of like my big. Obviously, you just kind of hit on the head that I've complained about that already. So I think the biggest issue for me, like you said, the spin move and blocking. You know, blocking's been a big one for a while. Unrealistic animations from like a catching standpoint. So hopefully it'll be a better game. But what do you think's going on in the NBA playoffs right now? What do you think about what's happening?
NBA playoffs. So I'm a Bulls fan, and the Bulls just got knocked way down in the draft lottery at the 7th pick.
Yeah.
Overall, it's looking like a great one. I'm hoping the Warriors don't make it to the finals again, but it's looking like it might be that way.
Right.
I'm interested to see how the Young Bucks do against a veteran team like the Warriors if they do make it.
They'd be a team to root for, man.
Yeah,
the Milwaukee Bucks. You know that's your Cinderella story.
Exactly. That's a team that was just straight up built and not bought. You can go with the Warriors in that aspect,
right?
If they didn't have KD, but it's at this point just unfair. They need to we need a new head honcho in the NBA.
Yeah,
make it at least funner to watch.
Right. I think that's the problem with why people hate teams like the Patriots, now the Warriors. At first, you know, it's not hard to get behind those teams as their first or second championship. But the Warriors, though, are like on a completely different level of dominance. It doesn't take much for an individual player to dominate a game. And when you got, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and then we throw KD in the mix, how can you compete if the guys are on, you know? Like, what other team has 3 players that good? Not to mention, Draymond Green and the guys that got coming off the bench. So, I don't know.
That is completely unfair.
Like,
Steph and Klay can pull up from anywhere, and they could also drive in. Klay's a great defender. You add KD into that mix where he can do everything.
Right.
It's just, how do you play defense against that?
You know, and one other thing I think a lot of people will just kind of gloss over is how sudden and quick Magic Johnson just suddenly resigned from his position as the president of the Lakers. Obviously, you could see it happen within a year or two if they kept sucking. I don't think anyone expected him just to say, hey, fuck it, I'm out of here. This is a mess. Do you think it had something to do with LeBron and his ego, or it was just too much pressure from the LA market and the LA brass? Why do you think that came out so quick?
I think you hit the head on the nail right there. So I think Magic brought him in,
right?
Not wanting to believe all the rumors that about LeBron, that LeBron really wants to run the team.
No, he does.
And when you're a superstar player, and that's one part of me that just thinks superstar players should just stay retired, become analysts if they can, and stay away from the NBA because your ego comes into factor. Now that was Magic's team for God knows how long. The LA market loves Magic.
Right.
Now you bring LeBron into the mix, and LeBron wants to tell Magic what to do, and it's just egos clashing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you can't trade LeBron because then the LA market's really going to be pissed off.
Right.
So it's better just to step down and just watch it all happen.
So 2 other subjects we could talk about. One I know for sure. Did you watch Avengers or no?
I did not watch Avengers, but I do know what happened.
Okay. Well, we'll pass that one. I know you watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I love Game of Thrones.
So you binge watched the whole thing in a week. Not really sure how you did that.
Under a week.
Under a week. It's kind of impressive. I don't know. Do you have a job or what? How do you find this time to watch that much TV in a week?
So we have a family. We have a couple of family businesses, pharmacies.
I see.
When my dad passed, they were passing on to me. Mm-hmm. So mostly they run themselves. They're pretty self-sufficient. I don't really got to go in to just check some paperwork or just check up on the stores.
I see.
But mostly it's just I get to stay at home.
Life of luxury. All right. So episode, what is that, 5 we just watched on Sunday?
Yep.
One of the lowest Rotten Tomato scores for a Game of Thrones episode. I think it was at 42%, was the article that I saw earlier. Real divisive, and full spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen the episode, so we're going to go ahead and spoilers to continue. So click off now. If you don't care, keep watching, but we're going to break down some Game of Thrones. What do you think about the episode? What do you think?
There's certain aspects of the episode that I love, and I think people are riding the hype from the first 7 seasons.
Yeah.
And we're at the point where they've surprised us so much that it's kind of expected.
Right.
And it's just like, oh, they're doing this again. So when Danny did all that stuff, it was just like, okay, we kind of see this coming, but it was kind of stupid.
Right.
But that's basically what the show is based around. It's just big plot twist. Characters' arcs just turning at the split of a second.
Yeah, and from what I read and from when I was talking to people earlier, and like you just said, a lot of people saw that coming, her fall, like she was going to become this tyrant. They built her up too much over the 7 years for her to totally just be this good character, and they kept on mentioning throughout the whole episode of, you're flipping a coin when one of them is born, if they're going to be a psychopath or not. And obviously you got Jon, who's one of them, and then you got her, and it seems like Jon's the good one and she's the psycho. But I think the biggest issue people have with it is how sudden it was, because they kind of hinted at it within the other episode of the season, but it took a hard left turn in the last 40 minutes of that episode.
Yeah, it was
just snap of the fingers. It was like Thanos wiping out the universe. But I think people would have been able to accept it more if it was kind of a gradual over a season or two. And that's more of a 2-season arc to get to where she was at. And she did it in 20 minutes or less, where she wanted to fuck Jon. He's like, nah, I'm good on that. You're my aunt. This isn't, we're not in Kentucky. And she's like, no, I still want you, baby. And then he says, nah, I'm good on that. So then she got mad. She goes, okay, then. I see how it is.
Watch what I'm about to do. Keep landing.
Yeah, and she started talking shit behind his back. Next thing you know, the battle happens. She's sitting there with the dragon, and the bells start ringing, and must have been enough to trigger her menopause or something, because she went and full annihilated the Red Keep. So I think the biggest problem people have with it is how sudden it was. But
and I do feel like they tried setting it up over time, and they did a poor way of doing it.
Yeah.
Just date back, I want to say the last season when Danny finally got into Westeros.
Yeah.
Sam Tarley's family, his brother and his dad. She burned him alive.
She fried him. Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't really. She could have just locked him up.
Right.
Well, I understand her burning his dad alive, but his brother didn't do anything. So
right.
they kind of tried turning her arc there. Then
but still, that was few. Those moments were few and far between, because she's had those throughout the series. Not maybe 4 or 5 of them total, where she made some questionable shit. But that one was pretty sudden. So I don't know. What do you think? How do you think it's going to end?
Okay, so from what I heard was HBO wanted 10 episodes and they wanted to crunch it down into 6. The writers wanted to crunch it down to 6.
I see.
So the ending I'm hoping for, and I'm hoping the spoiler that I read wasn't correct, the ending I want is, since they focused on Arya a lot and she had actually nothing in that episode.
Right.
I'm hoping Arya kills her, but I can see Jon doing it also. Now, who's going to end up ruling is really a huge toss-up. A lot of people think it's going to be Bran. I personally think it might be Arya.
Didn't even see Bran in episode 5.
Heck, Bran's just going to pop up, and he's going to be like, hey, I've been here the whole time.
Yeah. But, is his role done now that the Night King's done? I mean, you can't just... It just seems kind of odd that they totally... And you didn't see Sansa either, though, in episode 5. There's a lot of characters you didn't see.
Stark has to be in Winterfell type thing, and Bran wants to be the three-eyed raven, and he's not a Stark.
Right.
I think they should have elaborated more on Bran, showing us what he was seeing, because I feel like he knew a lot more. Well, he did know a lot more than he spoke up for. So at least I wish they showed us like how he went back and showed us what.
Well, that's books versus film. You know, it's like the Harry Potter books versus the movies. There's a lot of stuff that's always missing between the two. But well, you know, I just watched an IGN predictions video, and I'm not sure who's going to kill her. Obviously, she's going to be killed off. But I tend to agree with the theory that it won't be a monarchy, that pretty much all the kingdoms will be able to have like their own leader.
Exactly.
So she talked about breaking the wheel, and the wheel will be broken. But I think I've about killed enough of your time so far here, bud. I'll let you go back to whatever. I'm sure you got porn or something to watch this time of night. You know, and go burn up the RedTube streams.
Yeah, I had to pause it. I was watching that Game of Thrones porn, actually.
Yeah, you can't miss that. So, what week are we in right now?
Like
that 5 or 6, maybe.
Probably 4 or 5, something like that.
Are you gonna win the AFC North this year? I mean, because you got. I don't remember who the new. You got a new Bengals owner. The Steelers owner was. He used to be in the SML. He came back.
We got Rome, and we got 2 new users for the Browns and the. I do definitely think I'm going to win the AFC North. What I do in the playoffs is
not even sure
what happens in the playoffs.
Did you and Prime ever? You played this season, didn't you?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's
played week 2. I beat him in week 2. I think it was 12-0.
So, what's his deal with this deprecating stuff that he does in the chat? Oh, you know, I'm washed up. Oh, will I make the playoffs? You know, does he need people to scratch his ego that bad? Do we need to get him counseling or what's going on? I mean, that's my brother, but the kid's ate up. I don't know what to do with them. Oh, Pastor Prime. So do you? I guess, like, from what I've seen in years past from him, like, he rolls through, like, it's nowhere close. Like, he never has this many losses per season. He goes undefeated at least 2 or 3 seasons a year. Do you think this Madden has really leveled the playing field in terms of the skill gap?
Possibly, and I think he likes playing that little underdog role. So
right.
I think he goes into games he expects, because he is the 11-time champ. He's been reigning for a while, so I think he holds himself to the expectations everybody else holds him to.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes into games wanting to prove himself every week. And versus when I play him, I just see him because I've never been here for a championship, so I'm just playing him just to play him like he's just another guy in the league.
Right.
So I think he just goes in every game trying to prove himself, and it kind of backfires. He might get a little angry at certain aspects because he's not doing what he's expected to do. But I think if he lays back and chills and just plays his game, he'll be solid.
So when you talked about the best players, and this is just another little quick hitter, who are the biggest underachievers so far in this season?
Biggest underachievers this season? Are we talking record-wise or what I think they're going to do?
Both. How they are right now and where you're projecting them at the end of the year.
So I do think Meats is a little too busy to be... He's got a lot of injuries. Just had his graduation. Congrats to Meats on that.
Yeah.
But I do think he's going to make the playoff. I don't think he's going to go as far. I think Haas has a lot of stuff going on with himself right now. He's got engaged. Congrats on that also. So I see those two making the playoffs, but they're not making it as far. As of who's coming out of the AFC and NFC, I think the NFC is going to be the Seahawks with Oshie. The AFC is still a toss-up. Gov's a solid player, but I do think Prime could beat him if Prime makes the playoffs. It's just a toss-up at this point.
Yeah, because the AFC South is probably the most stacked it's been in terms of the user standpoint. So, you got Prime, you got Gov, who has been on, he's won 2 or 3 championships this cycle. Rolls Royce, who came back to the league, he's a really good player. And then, is NYT still the Titans?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, NYT's a good player, too. I mean, so you got, even though his record hasn't reflected it, he's still a guy that can win a lot of games, and he's been a playoff contender. I think he's the Vikings to start this cycle off. So I'm not really sure why he switched outside the fact that he's a Titans fan. A lot of good players there. What do you think is the toughest division?
That is probably the toughest division. Everybody in that division can beat you, blow you out. But I've held in the games with Gov, but personally, I just knew I wasn't going to win them just because his defensive scheme is something else. His defensive scheme I can't really mess with.
And then it's backed up with talent.
Yeah, and talent. He's a user over the middle and just his play calling ability. He calls so many blitzes. It's hard to run your offense.
Well, I'm saying that like the team, you got a lot of good defensive players on that team. It's not like he's playing with a bunch of bums.
I wasn't here for what he did with that team, but he's obviously a great GM.
Yeah.
With having his overall and all those talented players around. Like he's got Jalen Ramsey.
Right.
He's got another great.
He had Darius Slay for a while. He got from Detroit.
Yeah, he still got Darius Slay. So he's got solid secondary. He's got solid linebackers and a D-line. So it's just hard to beat him. You got Royce. Royce just beat the hell out of me. Royce is just solid user. He's got solid defense also. Mm-hmm. Then Prime can flip it on and just take over at any point in time. So that's probably the toughest division I've seen so far.
One last topic, I guess. What's been the toughest game you've played so far? Toughest or favorite, or both?
Okay, so the toughest game I played was the first time I played Royce.
Oh, you played him more than once?
Not Royce, sorry, Gov.
Gov.
First time I played Gov. It came down to the final seconds. I picked him off with like a minute left and marched down the field. Got to the one, and I just couldn't get into the end zone. It would have tied it and took it to overtime. My favorite game I played was my first wild card game against Prime with the game winner. That was just that shit was amazing.
Yeah, it was almost like getting premium subscription to browsers or something. You didn't have to watch the 30-second preview. You actually got to watch the 30-minute video.
Yeah, I don't have the 1-day trial anymore.
Exactly. Now you're full gold access or whatever they call it. So. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate your time, man. Good luck to you the rest of the year. I'm still going to try to pick up what scraps I can in the NFC and try to get in at 8-8 because that's what I do.
Definitely.
But good luck. Appreciate you coming on. We're always trying to encourage people to come on. Maybe next time we'll get a couple other people, kind of do like a McGangbang where you get the McChicken and the McDouble.
McDouble and smash them together.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So, all right, brother. Well, I appreciate it. Take it easy. Good luck to you. No problem, bud. All right, that was an interview with the Ravens owner. Appreciate you coming on. Anyone else that wants to join, DM me on GroupMe. Just be active. That's all we look for is active owners. Make sure you're tweeting your tweets, and when you do, use the @Sim Madden League. That way I can retweet your stuff and blow up other people's feeds like they do on ours. Like, I get on there, Madden Bomber League, they're always retweeting all their users' crap, and I can't even see my guys' stuff. I gotta scroll through there, go to your individual page to tweet your stuff. So make sure you're tagging it. It just makes it easier to be able to retweet and like your stuff. Really, we're at 32 or 32 teams. Knock on my wood. Hopefully that stays the same. Hoping to have keep a full league going through into Madden 20. And the nice thing is the game comes out early this year. It's the first week of August. So that's something exciting. We'll have our usual tournament, in between. Maybe I might even start one here next month. Do kind of like an exit tournament. Maybe put some type of a PSN or a Chick-fil-A gift card or something out there like that, figure out something like that. I really want to do merch, but the problem with merch is it's so damn expensive to buy the shirts, and I don't know what sizes people need. Not sure what a good price point is. It's really hard to get a t-shirt that's not super overpriced. I just like to have one for myself when I do these podcasts, just to throw the damn shirt on. So anyway, let me know what you think about that, or if you know where I can get something at decent prices. I priced 32 shirts, and I think it was something stupid-ass expensive, like $150 or something like that. Maybe that's just what it cost, and I'd make that money back, but I don't know. It's something for the future, I guess. But appreciate you guys tuning in. If you are tuning in for the first time, you watched this whole interview for some odd reason, and you're interested in joining this league, check us out on daddyleagues.com/SML, simmaddenleague.com. We've got other shows. Prime's got his whole schedule. This is my first show in almost a month. Prime, ZZ, all those guys who are burning it the fuck up right now. Check them out. SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube. Prime's doing recap shows and all that. Meats is sitting on a chair with a thumb up his ass doing nothing. But the rest of us, we're making the SML great again. I appreciate you guys tuning in to the podcast. Comment below what you want to see next. If there's a topic you want us to cover. We did a little bit of Game of Thrones. We talked about Game of Thrones, though. If you want us to talk about Robert Downey Jr.'s, if you want us to talk about the Batmans, if you guys want to hear any of that stuff, Toy Story, you want to hear Toy Story 4 predictions, I'll do it. I don't give a fuck. We'll talk about that stuff for you, the people. For you, the people.
And giving it back to you, the people.
And we give it back to you, the people.
We'll do it for you guys. Do it for Dan. Like, subscribe, take care. Have a great day.